Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. The last video we ended up putting on the Mayhem Metalworks bars. So to keep the motivation and the momentum going, we're going to work on the car again today. That Core 15 bumper support that we did on the front came out pretty amazing. I'm really happy with it. I'm going to end up doing the rear bar right here, bumper support bar. This one is a lot more ate up. You could see like rust holes that rust through, but before I painted this last time, I got all the loose stuff off, so this is pretty strong. None of that's popping through, so I think we could save this if I just encapsulate it like the front one. So let me show you the front one. The front one came out awesome. It's so glossy and it's so smooth that self-leveling is really nice. But anyway, today we're going to be putting on our Solkreations rear diffuser. I forget what version this is. It's probably like the V3 or whatever. This took a little while to come. I had this sitting since before I moved. So unfortunately, I lost the hardware. Looked all through this garage and I can't find it. I know I have it somewhere. I just have no clue where it would be. I checked all these cabinets. I checked all up around these shelves. I checked a good amount of these totes I have here, but can't find them. So this rear diffuser, I have all the main pieces. That's all that matters. I can make my own hardware. So this is the main section here. Get an idea where it goes because that's the tow hook. This is the brace that's going to bolt where the lower control arms go. And then these are the sides, so it closes in the rear bumper. You may remember me saying I was going to get a new bumper in the last video because the other one was all cut up. So I picked up this one from the junkyard. This is a 96 rear bumper. This actual diffuser was made for a 98, but I took one of these side pieces with me to make sure it was going to line up, and it lines up pretty good. Slight gap, but I can live with that. The only thing that I'm going to have to really change with the car is the exhaust setup, because as you can see, it's closed here. Well, I guess it would be this side. It's closed, so there's no spot for the exhaust to come out. So I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with the exhaust yet. If I want to do a turn down before where the stock fuel tank was, or I don't know, come out to the side of the tire here or in front of it. But either way, in order to install this diffuser, the exhaust has to come off. So I'm going to take it off at the S pipe. Well, at the B pipe, I'm going to disconnect the S pipe and take off the two back sections. So I'm going to pull that off real quick. Relatively straightforward. You want to have 3 hangers and 2 bolts or 4 bolts. So I'm going to pull this off and I'll pick back up the video. So I got the exhaust pulled off. This one just had 2 bolts on the back. It's actually a slip fit, so it slips right on here. I love this exhaust. Kind of sad to see it off the car. But anyway, we're going to install this piece next. I just looked up a picture I had saved in my phone that he had sent me. I'll post it up right here. But this is going to mount this way. So control arm bolt through each one of these holes here. I guess that's why he reinforced them, so the aluminum doesn't crush. But I don't know, looking at that ASR subframe brace, the brackets that actually hold the sway bar itself look like it's going to interfere with this. I'm not sure. Guess we're just going to have to climb under the car and see. Alright, so I got the control arm bolt out. As you can see, that's not going up because the bracket's in the way. So looking at that picture, it doesn't look like they notched this angle iron piece or angle aluminum, whatever. So I'm not 100% sure what to do, but I'm gonna take off that subframe bracket and see if I could tuck that up behind on both sides before I cut it and see what happens. Alright, so a couple issues with this already. The sway bar, there's like barely anything clearance wise, so I don't know if I'm gonna have to notch this down around the sway bar. I don't want to do that yet. I did get the control arm bolts in and I tightened it up underneath of this sway bar bracket. I'm probably going to need to use longer hardware, but I have to drill holes in this on both sides. Same thing here, the sway bar is like so close to that. Probably have to get one playing card through here. So before I start cutting and modifying anything, I want to grab the actual diffuser piece and try to figure out exactly how that's going to mount up. Alright, this thing's looking pretty sick. Considering I lost all the hardware, I'm doing pretty well. So what I did right here, this is the factory bumper bolts that hold on the bottom of the bumper so it doesn't pull out. So I found two long 10mm bolts. This is a temporary, but I got those right in there, coming up with some washers. They slide under here. So under here, this is the angle aluminum here. I tuck the flat part inside here, and then if you can see, this part is slid on the outside. So what I'm thinking about doing is marking this hole in this one, drilling and riv nutting it on both sides, and that'll hold that bottom up. And then eventually I'll pull off the angle aluminum again. I can bolt this up. There was holes on this piece of aluminum, but they're under here, so I can't see them. So I'll mark the holes from the top side once I get this out, and then I'll drill, and then I'll actually riv nut the actual diffuser. It's hard to film because this car isn't super high off the ground, but I'll riv nut the diffuser so that way, for some reason, if these bolts fall out, it'll still be sitting on here, and I'll still have these ones on the bottom. So the rear diffuser in this section is already pretty strong. I haven't tightened anything. Everything's just hand tightened, but this is my only issue here. So I'm still not 100% sure what I'm going to do with this yet, because I could make the bracket, like I said, from here over. I could make a 90, drill a hole in the car, which I really don't care if I drill a hole here, with a bracket coming straight, and do like a piece of all thread to this. But underneath, I drilled and riv nutted the angle iron, so these are just hand tightened. So what I was saying next is I'm gonna mark from the opposite side, because I think there's 1, 2, 3 more, and I'm gonna actually riv nut the diffuser and then drill holes, and then I'll put bolts through the bottom. I have just regular washers on here for now. Once I put this together for the final time, I'm going to use lock washers, I think, and I'm definitely going to, Loctite all these bolts. But even if any of them fall in, this is still holding on here. As long as these bolts don't let go, it shouldn't go anywhere. I'm going to probably end up riv nutting these also. But yeah, everything's fitting pretty good. Super satisfied with the way it looks. Riv nuts are in. Holes are drilled for that. Got the riv nuts down here on this side. Clearance for the sway bar bracket. So now we're gonna try to fit everything and hopefully everything lines up. You can see the sway bar is clearance now. Everything's bolted back up and tightened. So I shouldn't have any problems with that sway bar hitting the angle aluminum. But let's see if the diffuser fits now that those sway bar brackets are tightened down. Before I just had the control arm bolts tightened, but hopefully nothing shifted. Alright, so everything's bolted up. I did have to widen the holes up on here because I guess when I tightened the sway bar brackets down, it did shift a little bit, like I guess like 1/8 of an inch. So I just used a big drill bit and opened that hole up. Fits fine with the washer on there, but all this back here is really solid. Of course, on the end, it's still wobbling towards the back until I figure out what kind of bracket I can put back here. But here, super solid. And I just have the 2 bolts here and here, and they fit right into the riv nuts. Not 100% sure how to even cut this to make it correctly, so there's like a factory crease crossed here. I'm just going to follow that all the way around and just go even with this line here. Same on this side, and then try to fit it, come back, cut a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, until it actually fits. So this could be a long process. If you're wondering how I got it to sit on there so well, because I didn't really cut that much off, it's sitting on top. So if you look at this, have a little ways to go down till I hit the bumper support. This is the line I decided to cut off. Hoping that's not going to be too much. Alright, so the video quality might be a little bit different because my memory card is full and I don't feel like going in the house to get another one. But I have the bumper, trimmed it up a bunch. I'll put the bumper support on because it kind of holds the bumper straighter and makes it easier to work with. That's what it kind of looks like from the side. Trimmed the bottom up a little bit. So I'm only doing this a little bit at a time because you could always take more off, but you can't add any. Alright, so I kind of got them mounted up. I don't know if they're in the right position or not. Hopefully they are, because I want to try to slide the bumper on, because then I can try to reach up inside of it and hit it with a paint marker so I'll know where to trim the bumper. But basically, I used aluminum tape. This stuff's pretty strong. It's the only thing I could think of without actually drilling any holes. And then I have a clamp right here hooked onto the body, just kind of holding this front side up. If you look down in here, there's a piece of metal tape here and down towards the front. I did the same on both sides. Okay, so still working on getting these side pieces on. Up here fits pretty well. It fits pretty well against the edge of the bumper all the way down. There's probably a little bit more material I could take off the bumper, but I'm just going to wait until the end and then I'll just sand it down. Over here, I'm not 100% satisfied with this because there's a straight edge. You can kind of see how far it's off. It's about 1 inch, and it looks like it works its way out towards the back, which is more than 1 inch, but I kind of just drew a little mark right there because I'm going to pull this bumper off. This is pushed down, so it definitely has to go up, which I should probably work on this first. I finally fabbed up some brackets. As you can see, thing's pretty level. It would only have to move like that much, which is pretty much nothing, to be 100% level. I'm not a fabricator, so I'm just doing what I can. But this is the bracket I made up out of some, I think it was 1 inch angle iron, but it was kind of heavy, so I trimmed as much as I could off of it. But I mean, this thing is so strong now. Also did this side with the tow hook on here. This one's pretty level also, as you can see, and solid. So now I'm gonna pull this tow hook off and just bolt everything back up because I haven't cut a hole in the bumper yet for this. Alright, so I don't know if you could see that, but I drew a black line where the bumper's at, and this fit well. So I'm gonna have to rivet it, or I'm not exactly sure how I want to permanently mount this to the diffuser on this side, but I want to make sure it comes off good. I could shave that sheet metal right there a little bit to make it sit a tad bit better, but it looks pretty flush to me. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing some kind of L bracket off over here, this area, to kind of hold it up, or maybe over here, because this is a pretty straight shot. I could probably get a bolt in. I have a pack of L brackets right there on the floor. I got this side mounted on. It's pretty strong. You see it's not wobbling at all. I didn't want to have bolts going through the bumper. I think it would look cleaner without it. So what I ended up doing is riv nut on an 1.5" L bracket. I'll put a bolt through here with a nylock on it. Same back here. So that holds that. There is a riv nut right here on the 90 and one up top, and they come through down here. So that's pretty strong. Now, I'm sure I said this before in the video already. If you order one of these, you're definitely going to have to do some customization, because this doesn't come all the way out here to this, because he designed these with the stock car in mind. So there's a bumper bar here. I checked this piece on a white car, and this actually butts right up to the bumper bar, the OEM bumper bar. Alright, so everything's all bolted up. I only have like 2 bolts in this bumper bar because I'm going to have to take it off again, because I'm going to have to do some measuring and cutting for the tow hook. I'm probably going to have to drop this whole diffuser, which sucks, but hopefully I could leave these side parts on and try to mount everything just like in one shot. I do want to order some new 10mm bolts, the M6 by 1.0. I want to get those in like socket caps, like Allen keys, where it's like a bubble. And then I want to get lock washers, and when I'm finally done taking this off, I'm going to put on some red thread locker. But this side's all done. Had a mishap with the paint marker, not a big deal. I'm going to set the bumper on real quick so you guys can see what it looks like. Alright, so here it is with the bumper on. Does not look too bad in my opinion. The bottoms line up pretty good. This side lines up pretty good. It's kind of sticking out right here, but if I'll flex it up, it'll go flush. Worst comes to worst, I could just add a bracket right here and put it through this factory hole, and it'll be lifted up. But I'm not really sweating that too much. Maybe once I start getting the car put back together, finalized, I could worry about that when I close up all the holes. But extremely happy with this. Make sure you go check out Soul Creations. They have a Facebook page, Instagram page, and a website. I am the 3rd person with this, I believe. Shop Towel Blue Integra has one. I think he was the first. And then there's another guy with from Europe, I'm assuming, has one. He mounted his up before mine, but I think I was the 2nd person with this. But either way, it doesn't matter. Everything on this fit perfect. I lost the mounting brackets that it came with. It came with all the hardware, bolts, everything. I have no clue what I did with them. When I moved, I must have misplaced them, but it's not a big deal. because some of that stuff wouldn't work, because this was designed for a stock 2000 rear end. So it came with mounting tabs to hook to the OEM bumper support and stuff like that. So it's not a big deal that I lost it. I'm going to replace all the 10mm bolts underneath with the dome head Allen keys. I just think aerodynamically the air would go over those better than a hex head bolt, something like these. But yeah, super happy with the purchase. Definitely would purchase this again if I could go back, or I didn't have this. Just like the Mayhem Metalworks video, I think his dad has cancer too, so make sure you go over there and show him some support. They make a lot of awesome parts that no one else is making, like headlight covers, dimple dyed cows, and like a hexagon pattern headlight covers and stuff like that. Just really cool stuff. Just check out their page. But if you have any questions about this install process, feel free to message me or post a comment below, and I'll always try to get back to you. But next time we'll probably be doing some fuel stuff, hopefully. But until next time, like, comment, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one.